What is up, guys? We are back for another video essay today. And I feel like, hold up. It didn't make a difference, okay. Well, whatever. But let me tell you what we're going to talk about. Well, you probably already know from the title of this video, but today, June 20th, is the 1-year anniversary since I was fired wrongfully from my previous job. And I wanted to share a few things that I learned in this year and this crazy year. And yeah, just hopefully, the goal of like any knowledge I share really is for you guys to, just apply it to your own life and just become more free, developed versions of yourselves that give less fucks about irrelevant people. So let's get into it. The first point I have is don't sacrifice yourself for someone who won't do the same for you. And I was thinking, well, I guess you could rewrite it and like make sure that whoever you're sacrificing yourself for will do the same for you. But you never truly know. You know when you truly know? When it's too late. So that's why I went with how I said it the first time. So basically what I mean by like sacrifice yourself too is I mean like sacrificing your time, actions, favors, other stuff like that for people who just take and take and take your energy and don't give anything back. It's kind of like a reciprocity thing, which I will also tie into my last point. So just wait for that, or second to last point. But yeah, for context, the reason why I learned this is because I had gotten my best friend of almost 5 years. Well, I guess I should say ex-best friend. But I got them hired at my job about 2 months before I got fired. And if you want, I'm not really here to talk about the situation, what happened. I'm just here to talk about what I learned. So if you want to know more about my situation, go watch my thesis video, or I think I talk about it a little in some vlogs back in 2025 around the time when I first started, but I don't know which, so sorry about that. But I mean, watch my vlogs, guys. They're literally good. They're literally good and funny. But anyways, point of that, I say here, I'm like, don't try to solve their problems. Don't try to speak for them. Let people solve their own problems. So yeah, the gist you can get is that I tried to solve my best friend's problem in the workplace and I ended up getting fired. Not just for that, if you guys want to know the official reason they gave me for getting fired, it was gossiping, but I was more of a whistleblower. So anyways, though, after I was fired, my best friend stayed at the place, and that's basically why we're not friends anymore. Obviously, there's more that goes into it, but that's just a kind of betrayal that I couldn't get over. And I think, obviously, no one can go back to the past and change things, but another important point to bring up in this thing, or I guess this point, is to not try to solve people's problems who just want to like complain to complain, if that makes sense. Being autistic, I don't understand this much, but it is something that I have learned to understand over this year because I realized that a lot of the people that I, spoke up for didn't want to actually change the situation. They just wanted to complain about this man. And that confused me because I was like, well, I think it's also because I was someone who was raised not to complain unless the pain I was feeling was excruciating, So when I complained about how this guy touching me made me feel, I was like, this is seriously affecting me negatively. Like, this is not good. But for these other people, it wasn't as intense for them. It was more so just like an annoyance, I guess. And so that was a big part of why I got fired, is because it looked like I was the only one complaining. Because then when these other people were asked about it, they were just like, no, it's fine. I don't really care. And yeah, so that's why I say just let people solve their own problems. Because sometimes you don't know where other people are at, I guess, when it comes to those kinds of things. And yeah, guys, I don't know. That one is just hard to speak on because it is probably one of the hardest things for me to understand. Because I realized that a lot of people would rather just have the discomfort of the situation continue to happen to them rather than face the discomfort of changing the situation. But I'm not someone who's really discomforted by change. So I will always be like, let's change this. Here's how we can improve. Let's improve. Let's improve, guys. People don't like that. A lot of people don't like that. So I've learned to just take my hands off of people and be like, you got it. You got it. If you really want my help, you'll ask. And that offer will always be open for people who, I have like energetic reciprocity with. I'll always. But my hands don't extend to just anyone anymore, if that makes sense. So, yeah. I think I said this briefly where I talked about like time, actions, and favors for not sacrificing yourself, but that's another big thing. I ran myself into the ground with how many hours I worked at that place. A lot of times, not just one time. And I think the constant exposure definitely made my mental health issues worse. And I mean, I was grieving the death of my dog when this whole situation happened, like when the guy who I got fired because of was hired. So yeah, it was just a lot. And I think if I had valued myself more at the time, taken more time for myself to process things instead of just being like totally externally focused on, getting the job done, accommodating to these people, accommodating to guests, I probably would have been better off. And I didn't genuinely start healing until, beginning of 2025, when I actually took the time to start looking in myself again. And I was like, this is a little sus. Not that I didn't make changes in 2024, because I think I did make good changes, and what I experienced in that year led up to the healing of 2025. But 2025 is when I got serious, and there was a lot of self-improvement that happened, so much. And you know what? that brings me to my second point. And my second point is that at some point, rumination is a choice, because that is a big thing that I did in 2024. I had a lot of trouble separating like my workplace from my life. I mean, to be fair, I was working like 5-6 days a week. So then on my day off, I should have not been thinking about work, but I did. And yeah, I just think that was a big thing that I improved in 2025, was improving my thought patterns. And especially, I kind of stopped allowing myself to let negative thoughts about myself circulate too, you know? I faced the inner critic with an inner motivator. And just anytime I heard some critical shit, I was like, who said? Who said? No. Obviously more went into it than that, but a term that I love that I learned from becoming Kate, she's a tarot reader on here, was mental athleticism, which, yes, your brain is a muscle. You need to train yourself in how to use it. And yeah, this one, I don't have all the words to describe it right now, but I wanted to show you guys, or read you guys, a poem from January of this year, where I was still kind of waiting on like closing up my charge of discrimination that I filed against this place. And basically, here's what I wrote. It's called I Can Choose to Be Happy. Although I haven't completely closed the book, I can choose to keep walking forward. Each thing I've hung on to isn't an arguing point anymore. They're events that occurred in the past. I must accept that there's nothing more for me to nitpick. I have no more responsibility over these people. And no matter what the outcome may be, it's not my responsibility to remove them from there. I have to move forward for me. It can't just be for everyone else. I deserve so much justice too, but I have to change my point of view. So yeah, that was basically when I decided to stop ruminating on this, because obviously after I got fired, I was replaying like basically 2 years worth of situations, or I guess it could be like a year and a half. Anyways, a year and a half of like situations and things in my mind that I was like, but you're wrong. But this, but that, but, it doesn't matter anymore. So yeah, that took me a fat minute to realize. And I genuinely, I'll be so for real, guys. Like, I ruminated for most of like my, I can't remember how long it was, but my cruise from like Rome to Barcelona, which I mean like trip of a lifetime, blah, blah, blah. You already know I was there. Like, or it wasn't obviously like in the fun moments, you know, I was having fun, but there's a lot of in between moments on those kinds of trips, you know, like sitting on the ferry or yeah, taking a bus ride, etc., etc. So yeah, you already know I was thinking about this job and my ex-best friend. And I think to a point it's really good to process things, but also, like I said, mental athleticism, our brain's a muscle. Sometimes we need to just tell ourselves, like, we're not focusing on that right now. Let's shift our attention. We're focusing on something else. And yeah, that is something I am learning how to do. So it's good. Point number 3 is systems will protect their own. They aren't to be trusted, and they should be escaped from. Now, I'm like, how do I even begin this one? Well, I'll begin it by saying, after my mediation, I realized that my job situation was kind of like small fries in comparison to like the food system, medical system, education system, housing system, every kind of system in this country specifically, because I can't really say for much outside, you know, because I don't have that experience. They help all of us like this much. And then we all just are so complacent that we don't change anything. But call me crazy if you want. Like, I genuinely don't care. But at this point, if you don't believe that there's like a war against just the normal US people, then you're not reading the right things. Because the literal microplastics in our clothes, in everything we touch, in our food, in our cookware. What are our foods being sprayed with? What are our skies being sprayed with? Literally, is literally outrageous. And my job was kind of my personal experience of being like, wow, the system is fucked and extremely stacked and extremely unfair. Yeah, I guess really the big thing that I learned, and this experience really opened me up to my goal of creating like my own kind of system for people who don't fit in to whatever the fuck is going on here either. And yeah, I think that was important because for so much of my life, I thought that having community and just being a part of something meant fitting in. But I've realized now that I don't want to fit in with these people. No. I don't trust in the natural goodness of people in this world anymore. And it's because of the system that we have all been raised in. I trust in the natural goodness of like children and younger people, but the older I see a lot of people get, the more corrupt they become and the less willing they are to take accountability. Obviously, that's not everyone. It's just a general term because I've met some great older people, but I have just seen so much discrimination, and I have experienced discrimination just for my age, just for being young and having something to say. They hate it. But I could go on about this for so long, but let's not. Let's move to point 4. And that would be, don't let anyone who brings you down have a place in your life. And this one is the one that I said is kind of similar to the like, don't sacrifice yourself, but I feel like I really just integrated this lesson recently. And you want to know how integrated it is? Like, I don't even speak to my mom anymore because she literally won't take accountability for how she, what's the word for that? Like, denied other people's multiple attempts to diagnose me with autism and get accommodations for me. She's just like, nope, she's quirky. Get out there and make yourself believe that your social differences, sensory differences, your honest attitude, those are all things that are wrong with you. Yes, it's the perfect thing to teach a child. She's not different. There's something wrong with her. Okay, so let's I'm like, let's stop with the silliness. But yeah, I mean, that's just an example of like someone bringing me down. If people don't accept like who you are, you know, and obviously that's always subject to change, but if they can't grow with you, then like get. And I put here from Epic the Musical, if you know ball, I put ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves because I think in some situations it's important to like not care in a way what people are gonna think of you or like what they're gonna say about you if you decide to take them out of your life, you know? It's okay to be the bad guy in some people's stories. So I was gonna say, people will look down on you for any reason they can find. And so much of it is arbitrary and stupid. And I guess expanding on what I mean by ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves. I'm not saying like be an asshole or like, yeah, be like aggressive to anyone, but I guess I'm saying some people don't deserve like a huge long explanation, and sometimes you will know best when their final chance has come, you know? And I think it's important to stand firm in those boundaries because, I mean, using my ex-friend for example, we took a break in 2023 and it was for reasons, but after like a couple months I was like, oh, I really miss this person, like I really want them in my life, and so I gave them another chance. And what'd they do with that chance? Fuck all. And I think it's really difficult when you can see that someone's improving, but still, I've just had this with so many people where they don't believe in what I'm doing. They don't believe in my abilities, my potential, or for some people it's like who I am. Some people have looked down on me for literally just being a woman, and those are just not people that I'm going to keep around anymore. And I don't care how like rude or mean I come off, because really what it boils down to is reciprocity. I obviously will give, or well, I'm like, let me restart, because it's all about reciprocity. And I guess being exclusive with your energy, because I will give so much to those people who give me the same, you know, who make it known that they care about me and they're here for me. But yeah, I'm not in the business anymore of giving people a million chances to change, or to help people who aren't willing to listen change. Like, I don't even know if there's much more to say about that one, because it's just like, you guys, dealing with you is a waste of energy. And I'm done. And I'm done. Yeah, so I think it's important to mention too that when it comes to these people, I seriously don't look down on them or, you know, put myself on a pedestal. And I'll be honest, I did do that in the past. I did that so much. I think it's just like, at least for me personally, because, and I've seen this with other teenagers too, where you experience so much as a kid and you're forced to grow up so fast that you start looking down on your peers, because, and you genuinely think like, oh, I'm smarter, oh, I'm this, I'm more mature, blah blah blah. How do you know? How do you know? I don't know. So that's why I'm really done with the whole looking down on people thing too, because it's not like this. Like, our paths are not like this kind of level thing, you know? It's just different. It's just different. But there's no better or worse. Obviously, I mean, in a general sense, because I mean, I'm sure you all can think of something and be like, well, that's really bad. Like, obviously I'm better than a rapist. Yes, obviously, okay? I'm talking in the general sense of people who are not heinous and are just choosing to make different choices. Like, I mean, I'm thinking of two people, basically. And I really appreciate these people because they taught me a lot of things. But one of them wanted to be more on the path of normalcy. And I'm like, great. I really hope that works out for you. But I can't walk down that path after everything I've experienced. The glasses have been taken off me. And I can't live the way you're living anymore. So we have to part ways. And that's okay. And then the second one, this person, they refuse to change how they look at women. And once again, it's just different. Like, I personally don't think that women are stupid, and I don't objectify them. So, obviously those things aren't good to do, but I just think getting into like such a comparative mindset can really be damaging for all of us, because at the end of the day, I'm more similar to these people who I mentioned and all the other people who I've had falling outs with, or, you know, I'm disconnected from. I'm more similar to them than I am to billionaires. And yeah, so I just can't really have like a hate in my heart for cogs in the system, because they're not the problem. The system that they exist within is the problem. So, yeah. Anyways, point five. And point five is that life can change quicker than you think. Don't they always say, like, the days are slow, the years are quick? Boy, I feel that. I'm like, where do I even start with this one? I just can't believe, I mean, I'm already here. I'm already a year out of this experience, and I am just so proud of how much I've been able to wrap things up. And I would love to say that I have no regrets, but I do. And that's okay, though. It's not something that I have to live with. And it's just more things that I have to accept, you know? And this isn't like, this anniversary doesn't mean that the work is going to stop and I'm just going to move on to something brand new and my life is going to be, oh, wonderful. No, it's still something that, like, I'm going to be developing from, I guess. I put here, I definitely felt like the waiting period was long, though. I would say it was from, like, you know, July to end of January-ish. And it was just a lot of, I want to say it was a lot of nothing, but it wasn't. There were things developing that I didn't realize were developing. And there was recovery happening. I have recovery, rebuilding, developing, because that's genuinely what was happening. I had to pick up the pieces, guys. And I'll be honest too, I was really broke for a long time. Because as I was recovering, you know, I got offered a job at my Kung Fu studio to do office work and to join the volunteer program to learn how to be an instructor. But I worked like 1 or 2 days a week. And I had school in the fall. It was like 3 classes, so, you know, small fish. But it was preparing me for something bigger. And I think it's important for us to recognize that, you know, when we're kind of like, oh, you know, nothing's happening, I can't wait to just be in the next experience already. And, you know, just kind of like being more future oriented than present oriented. I think it's important to come back and just really look at what's actually developing, you know, in the present. And also, what's the word? Well, I can't remember. But then I had February till now, which I feel like was a big initiation period for me. I learned a lot in a really short amount of time. And when I say initiation, I still count it as like part of the waiting period in a way, because I still haven't like bam, you know? I don't know. My life changes a lot like that. So that's kind of what I'm like, when's the bam? But we'll see. Anyways, I told my Kung Fu instructor, like, as I was leaving work, I was like, well, I said, did you know it's the 1-year anniversary since I got fired? And then I was like, in the moment, I thought like I lost everything, but I'm just so grateful for what I've been able to rebuild with you and the studio, and just all the people there are great, and it's great. And I was like, and yeah, I think basically, I mean, if you didn't know, I teach like 4 to 12-year-olds. And then the other instructors that I work with, they're all like 11 to 17. I'm literally the oldest one there. But it's such a blessing. It's such a blessing. And I just think it's so silly how sometimes God, the universe, whatever you want to say, can like extract you out of situations that are, because basically a big frustration of mine was how younger voices were not listened to at all or like uplifted at all in this place. And then I'm picked up and I'm dropped into a place with basically all younger voices, all of them, and we're all learning how to be leaders and instructors and working together. And yeah. I just think it's beautiful how life can turn things around like that. And I think I just really wish that more places were like that, where, I mean, they're just fair. They just value fairness and honesty and respect and just communication, listening to everyone. It's such just like an open place that my Kung Fu instructor has created, and it's really great. I could never have expected this when I started doing Kung Fu there in 2021, but here I am, 1 year out. So, but anyways, next week, I think I'll be back for the vlog. So watch out for that, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.